project is called Just for Today, and that's a phrase that has kind of become a mantra in my life. I'm a recovering addict. I had been doing my best to deal with my addiction. I had been doing a fairly good job at keeping it under control for a little while. In 2019, I had a lot of cool projects happening, and I think my life looked like if it was going quite well on the outside. I think most people would have seen me and thought, okay, that, you know, his life is pretty solid. But the truth is, you know, I've come to learn in my recovery that the problem isn't really drugs or alcohol or, you know, these outside things. The problem is what's inside of you. Previously, I had been a very, very functional addict. You know, when I had mentioned to people that I had worked with, oh, you know, I had struggles with drugs and alcohol, most of the time the response was, really? I had no idea. I think that people didn't really know what was going on with me, and it didn't bother them because when people came to me for jobs, I always completed the job. I did it on time. The work was of a high quality, so I think when you're high functioning, in some ways that can actually be worse because people don't think that you need help. I had self-control and willpower in every other area of my life, but for some reason when it came to drugs and alcohol, that seemed to disappear, and I just couldn't understand why that was, and I couldn't understand why I kept failing. I am someone who I will overthink everything all the time. I've had to learn in recovery to live one day at a time, and that's been very difficult because I'm someone who wants to see a week ahead, a month ahead. I want to know where I'm going to be in 5 years, you know. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't make goals or anything, you know, but I've learned for me that I have to basically focus on the next step, and I have to be present in each moment. That's really the only way that I survive. I wasn't even living one day at a time. I really was living one moment at a time because, you know, I still had the obsession and the compulsion to use drugs, and that was very, very strong. But I would say that I'm very, very conscious and aware that I am an addict and I'm not suddenly better. I have to keep living this life. I have to keep doing the next right thing over and over and over and over again. And hopefully that will compound into good things. But I'm very grateful because I have a life again. You know, there was a point in time where I couldn't see that. I didn't think that I would ever really have a life again. I have had to learn to get myself out of the way and let the Spirit flow. Again, I know that sounds real hocus pocus to a lot of people, but that's been the reality for me. Once I have let the Spirit flow through me, the songs that come out are things that I just wouldn't have been able to write otherwise. I came from a church background. You might not look at me and think that, but I was a youth leader and a worship leader. I got my start really in music when I was about 10 or 11. My parents, I didn't grow up in church. My parents became Christians around that time, and I started going to a youth group at a missionary base here in Barbados called Youth with a Mission, and it was there. I had been kind of trying to figure out songs for myself on this, a little kids guitar kind of thing, but it was there that I was really introduced to actual proper instruments, and there was a really incredible lady there called Cynthia, and she taught me a few chords, enough chords to start to lead worship. And so I think that you will definitely hear that influence in the songs. I'll be honest, it's something that I have been running from for a long time. I've often put songs out and people will tell me, you know, something about this sounds a little bit like a worship song, and I'm like, oh no, like I'd be kind of upset because it's something that I have actively been running from for a long time. And you know, I will be honest and say that in addiction, I became spiritually dead. I lost my connection to God. It was a very dark time for me. I overdosed a couple of times, and it got to the point where the doctor who was the psychiatrist who was dealing with my mental health, you know, she said to me, you know, you're gonna have to go into a rehab facility because if you do this again, you're gonna die. I went into a rehab facility and I came out of that facility and I relapsed pretty quickly. I knew that something needed to change, or I was going to commit suicide, and it was tough because, you know, I have children, and I have been doing everything within me, everything I could possibly do to stay alive for them, and they remain a pillar in my recovery. I actually asked to be readmitted to the psychiatric hospital. I think a lot of the people who were close to me thought that that was a bad decision, but in retrospect, I think it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. During that period of time, I lost my ability to write songs and to create music. And I actually remember being in the psych ward, and my counselor from rehab brought me a guitar, and the doctors on the ward were trying to encourage me to play and so on. And I think I played maybe a couple of times just to humor them. I just didn't believe in myself anymore. Came out of rehab, went back into the psychiatric hospital, came out of the psychiatric hospital, and then pretty much as soon as I came out of the psychiatric hospital, I got COVID. And so I was living in a house where there were other people, and there was a baby, and then, you know, my dad was in the house and he has other health complications, so it was very dangerous for me to be in close proximity to them. So I ended up basically in a situation where I was in a room by myself, quarantining for these 10 days. When I came out of the hospital, my computer had crashed, so I didn't have the ability to work at all. So I was stuck in a room for 10 days with a guitar. And I sat down and I started strumming around, and maybe one or two ideas started to come, and I thought, how does it sound that bad? You know, maybe this could be something. By day 2 or 3, I started to just write, and a lot of things were coming to me very quickly, which is usually how it happens for me. Because I couldn't record anything, I just used my phone, and I was making all these videos, and over the course of that 10 days, I think probably about 60 or 70 songs came out of that period of time. I guess what I'm saying is that during this period of time where it seemed pretty tragic and it seemed like I had lost everything, there was like a little light that came into my life at that time and gave me hope again. And these songs began healing me. I put together a few of them into this project. These are songs of healing. Definitely for me, and I'm hoping that they will be for other people as well. I remember coming into recovery and hearing the word God and higher power and these terms and thinking, oh no, like this is what I've been trying to get away from, you know? And I was concerned about it. You know, some people who had been in recovery for much longer than me, and you know, they told me, don't get frightened. You don't have to figure all this out right now. You don't have to define all that for yourself right now. Just, all you gotta do is just trust the process. Just trust that something bigger than you will be able to deliver you. And you know, I think it always comes back to my kids for me, because I remember thinking like, you just gotta push through for them, you know. I think as recovering addicts, we know that we're never on the other side. It is something that you just continuously are doing one day at a time. Every day it's a lifestyle, you know. Yeah, so I was one that relapsed multiple times, and you know, meditation itself is something that's new to me as well. I only discovered that in recovery. I had heard about meditation before, and I have to tell you, I can't think of anything worse than having to sit down quietly and hear my own thoughts. No, please. That's not something that I ever wanted to do. Well, I guess what I could say is that I can't sit quietly now. I am a member of kind of like a continuing care group, and that has been extremely helpful for me. That is people who have gone through the rehab facility and are now living clean lives on the outside. Thankfully, since staying clean for a little while, I've been able to volunteer my time to go up to the rehab and assist on certain days. And it's difficult, man. It's difficult. You're going to see people come in and try their best and fail multiple times. And some of them are going to make it and some of them are not. I have been to a lot of funerals in recovery. I know that's quite dark, but the reality is that a lot of people die from this disease. But it always comes back to the same title of this project, Just for Today. I know that I only have today. And so I do my best to live in today. Yeah. All of these songs on the project are songs that would have been written over the course of the last just over 2.5 years. I feel like a lot of us are in recovery from something. The consequences for somebody like myself who's an addict are gonna be greater than the consequences maybe for someone else who doesn't have struggles that are quite so dire. But I think that these songs are relatable to people in general. Anyone who's been through real struggle will understand. I would just say when we going into the first chorus, a nice roll into the first chorus would be cool. I know that everything is wrong with these songs. If you go to a songwriting workshop today, they're gonna tell you, listen, songs need to be 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes tops. You need to get to the chorus straight away. It needs to have a hook immediately. You need to capture people's attention. This is the age of TikTok. If people can't dance to it, then there's no point. And I just have ignored all of that. I've gone completely in the opposite direction. The songs are as long as they take. I left a lot of space for people to soak in the music and breathe and enjoy the experience and really hear the words, you know, and hear the words that aren't being said too. I think when you know, when you know within yourself that you have songs of healing to share with the world, I am not gonna sit down and chop them up so that somebody could dance to them on TikTok. I felt like this is a community project. This is for us. And so what's been exciting about this to me is that I've been calling on friends of mine and people that I really respect in the music industry, and you know, colleagues that I've worked with, and it really is a big collaboration. I have musicians, multiple musicians from different places playing on the tracks, and you know, I have multiple artists on the project with me, people that I really value, I think are extremely, extremely talented. As the songs develop and I hear different voices, I'm reaching out and saying, hey, would you be up for, you know, would you be up for being on this? So that excites me a lot, because it's not just me in my bedroom. Now it's become just like my life in recovery. I've had to learn to participate in community. If I had everything labeled and on tracks, I
came into the studio about 10 years ago with a mutual friend, and I knew he was destined to do what he's doing now.
So he would call me and ask me if I would collaborate with him and just sing something that he had written. And he thought that it would have been suitable for me to sing the lyrics, and the song is a prayer.
He sent me the song and he said, I would like you to do this song with me. And he sent me the verse. He said, this is what I'm singing, and if you want to, you could write a verse, you could edit it, or you could do the same verse. And I decided to go with what he had written. I wouldn't say that it was a lazy way out, because
I am very glad that I met him, to be honest. I think he's an excellent musician, you know, a good vibe to be around.
Simon came to Island Moon somewhere around 2012, and Island Moon is my breath, voice, and intuitive movement vibe. They call it vocal coaching because it enhances the creative excellence and freedom of artists organically, intuitively.
We actually don't remember. It's like we was friends forever, but I think it was 2017 when I had to do the commercial for Kia. He scheduled me in, we knock off the commercial fast, like 25, 30 minutes, it was done. He get me the draft the next day, and he was like, yo, you wanna do some music? I said, all right. I actually want to work with you for a minute. He said, that's crazy, because I didn't want to work with you for a minute.
So my contribution to the project, I played on 6 tracks, played drum kit, and I played percussion on 1 or 2 of them. So it was kind of a long process, but it was very smooth and very easy. Only long because I recorded all 6 at the same time. I played on tracks before, but it was only like 1 track, going about my business. But each time we would do it, let's say we did like three takes, and you know, Simon would come very polite and say, you know, once I think you should maybe open up some more here, or you know, I would like if you could drop out this here. But what you played was perfect. I love that. He was very intentional with his directions.
Like probably go to like maybe some like swells on the cymbals or something towards the very end, yeah?
He knew what he wanted. He still gave me the freedom to do what I think would work for the process.
It was a real pleasure when Simon reached out and said, do something on the record, he sent me this track and I listened to it and it just touched something inside of me. But I couldn't come up with the words. I was just having a dry spell that I couldn't explain, and I begged Kelly. And that is how Kelly came in now, because I said, she writes similar to Simon. She touches cards, she touches cards deep inside of your emotions. So I beg her to write it for me. And she came up with those really, really wicked words that I love so much.
Simon hit me up and he was like, yo, I got an album I'm working on. I want you to play some keys on a couple of tracks if you're feeling anything. I said, all right, cool, like easy. Almost out of courtesy, because he's always come with this, oh, if you got time and blah, blah, blah. Like, bro, like, we's boys for how long now? Like, you like my little brother. Like, he ain't gonna, you know what I mean? But that's just Simon. Simon personality, he's just real humble and real chill. He's asking like, yo, if you could please. I'd be like, bro, like, you ain't gonna tell me all out here. Anything you need, that's sort out, point blank. So he ain't gonna, but that's just how he is. I'm real humble with it. I'd be like, all right.
It's just be easy going with Simon. So he sent me this song, his own demo of it, and we collaborated in it. So it was to choose if I do any first verse or second verse or whichever one, just hold something and go with it. It's very accommodating, very facilitating. Sent me the lyrics, sent me everything that I needed to have. And I landed at his studio and get a glass of water and good to go.
I don't take the lead as a mixer. I have to talk to the guy who is doing the project and see what he wants. And then we coexist in the same room and use 4 ears to get the right sound.
He invited me to do what's called back-end vocals, harmonies, and I think that he said I'm pretty sure that he mentioned that I've done all of the ambient vocals, all the golden vocals on his Just for Today album.
So with this prayer now, my voice, I'm interested to hear how the recording came out, because my voice was not in pristine condition. It still could hit notes and everything, but it was really, really tired, really hoarse.
Coming up to the time of doing it, I had some vocal issues. But I think because of the vocal issues and because of how my voice was doing and how the notes were coming out, it felt fitting for the genre of the song that we were doing. It was like a rock vibe. So me having that kind of, that tone, that grunge and the rasp, it helped to me, I don't like to sing, my human got different feelings about it, but I feel as if it really helped to elevate the musical experience.
If I wasn't moved spiritually to have the opportunity to touch this project, I wouldn't have done it, because I wasn't singing at all in that period, and I was trying not to even talk in that period. So I don't even think I tell Simon that I shouldn't be singing or nothing. I just went and do it. And
we operate with love, respect, and creative excellence. That's the standard. So everything flows well when it's like that. There's no manipulation. It's just an invitation to be the best of yourself and to share in the vibe. I'm about to get crashed by another dog going in the water.
Music is universal. I don't look at music as something that, there's a particular style, so I can't work with it. A good song is a good song, and my job as a mix engineer is to bring out what makes that song as good as it is. And I thought by listening to each song individually, they pointed me in a direction, and I just had to get sure that direction was where Simon wanted it to go also. And it worked well.
The styles is just fit, you know what I mean? The flavor that I got with what he's do is just, I mean, you can hear the album, so you can hear when I put down stuff, but you know what I mean? Like, we just, anything we do, whether it's soca, reggae, dancehall, rock, R&B, whatever we do, is just fit together for some reason.
It is a great song, but it's not a song that I would like have on my own done. That didn't stop me from saying yes. Yes, someone asked me that he had to have a feeling that I could do it too.
You know, and Simon is easy to work with. Simon is super inspired and he thinks out of the box and
Has the best taste.
oh yeah, comes up with stuff. He's easy, really, really easy to write with. So it felt like a fitting project to be a part of.
Going back to the beginning, having met Simon so long ago and watched his journey, he is definitely focused on where he wants to go with what he's doing, and I can see great things happening.
I would consider myself to be very spiritual and hold very firm to a faith in a higher power, and that keeping me motivated and keeping me fueled to keep going. And Simon would definitely know this. I know Simon from church too. When I said church, I know that he was influenced by Christianity and by spirituality, and that was a big part of his personal reality as well. And because we would share that similarity, I saw it fitting for me to sing the prayer, and it was really honored and blessed to be asked and be invited to be a part of this healing project, because it's really necessary. People hurting, and the ways that we dealing with them, it ain't really helping. It hurting more. It killing you faster. The drugs and the alcohol and the excessive partying, and yeah, it ain't really adding up. It ain't making sense. It draining you economically. It draining you energetically, and you're pedaling backwards, really going around in circles. And so I am excited about this project, and I hope that it is as effective and impactful as it can be, and as Simon envisioned it to be, and whatever momentum it could pick up, I hope that, you know, it get to propel and go far.
When he asked, it was more like, you know, one of them doing this project, it was like, if you could play drums on some of these songs, it's for this reason. And for me, it was just like, all right, show me when you're ready. I didn't think too deeply into it. After I heard these songs, then it was like, okay. And then I think I messaged him when we finished the recording, and I had just feel, my heart was full. Well, I'm so impressed with him. I'm so happy for him that he's able to get over this horrible thing again, and, you know, like, could do something good with it. And I get to be a part of that. I get to use my talent to do something good, because I feel like the same way how a couple of these songs touch me, I feel like it will touch people. A lot of people are going through so much things that we might not know of, and this one song could come and change their entire life, you know, in some way or the other, in a good way, for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely heavy. Because personally, I was going through my own issues. And Simon is just turning up and give me that inspiration out of nowhere. So I saw it as another of those situations where he come to save my life again.
I've been pretty open and honest with him about using drinking to get over anxiety and many other things in life. So jumping straight into the song, saying, the irony of it is you're saying it, you're the one that's singing it, but I can relate to it too, because you can relate to the song, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So you jump in a bottle or a glass to drown trauma, and I ended up doing it too.
Yeah.
So
Generational trauma.
yeah, so it's something where I think it did super relatable for both of us, and it never feel hard for me at all.
It took on flesh, and it became something that I would have really felt sad if I didn't manage to do it, because it's meaningful.
Well, we didn't get a chance to discuss what the project was about prior to doing the project, but the song spoke to me. By going through each song, I could see the common thread to making the album what it is, and I was impressed from the beginning. And now we're getting towards the final aspect of it. It's sounding really good. It's coming to be what he wanted it to sound like, which makes me feel good about it. On first listen, I realized how deep the songs were. They were not just songs putting out there to be pop. They have a very deep meaning to them, and they're well produced, well thought out, and I enjoyed working with Simon on the project.
And then when I learned what it was about, even more touching, because this is, I think this is the purity of the music that drew most of us to it, that made us want to do music in the first place. Being able to be of service, being able to be the voice of, being able to encourage and to inspire as we've been inspired.
This project is really a musical testimony. It's more than a project to me, and I know it is more than a project to Simon. This is Simon reclaiming lost time. This is Simon sharing honestly, musically, lyrically, sonically about his healing. And when others who might have heard of or witnessed your stumbling can see you rising again like a phoenix, and when you could sing along to music that shares the story of that journey in a triumphant, loving, tender, and joyful way that you can hear the strength in it, that is an honor to be invited even to partake in it, far less to sing upon it. So I give thanks to the process, and of course I'm celebrating my musical brethren, Simon Pike.
Although it's not a big studio at all, you know, this is the reality. This is where the songs really came to be. I started writing because I didn't have anything else to do in here. I just had my guitars and a pad and a pen, and I just started playing around, and I wasn't really thinking that I was going to be writing songs at the time. I just was messing around really, and then all these songs started to come out of me.
As the sun sinks into the ocean.
The song Dance on Streets of Gold, I know exactly when that was written because I wrote that on February 9th of 2024, and that was the day that we laid a friend to rest. She was also a recovering addict, had relapsed and accidentally overdosed and died. So it was a pretty sad occasion for myself and for all of us in the recovery community, you know. This song, Dance on Streets of Gold, is what came out of me. It's a celebration of their life, and also an understanding that, you know, there's a metamorphosis that occurs with every person, and that death is a part of life. And although the circumstances may have seemed sad, there was a sense of peace. I guess that's all we could really hope for in death. That person really was a light in their loved ones' lives, and that's especially in the recovery community. They were very much involved in anything that was happening in the community, and you know, they were so joyous and bubbly, and definitely helped a lot of people to feel welcome in recovery, which is an important thing, because when you first walk into a 12-step meeting, you know, obviously things have not been going well for you, you know. You're not walking in there because you're having a good time, right? So when you're met with someone who encourages you and embraces you and says, you know, you're welcome here, you're in the right place, you know, that is a very special thing. Although she's not here with us anymore in body, she definitely is in spirit, and I think that is a legacy that will live on. So Fall to Pieces is about a relationship not surviving the transition from addiction into recovery. There's a lot of pain, and it's a difficult transition. The person who survives addiction is not the same person as they were prior to it. And I think that that's okay. But yeah, that song is kind of just processing that and trying to make sense of a relationship transitioning in that way. Guardian Angel is a song about the last few years of my life. It really is. So the chorus goes, my guardian angel needs a vacation from all the hits that she's taken, keeping me safe. And I think that pretty much says it, right? Like, I was thinking, you know, my mom often tells me, boy, your guardian angel. She's overworked. You know, she's overworked and underpaid. I've been through a lot. And I definitely have seen that there's something protecting me through all that I have been through, and I'm very grateful for that. When I was writing this song, I was imagining like the amount of hits that I didn't have to take because something else was protecting me from the much worse things that could have occurred. And I guess it's a song of gratitude and a song of giving thanks for life and for me being able to survive everything that I have survived and come out the other end. Just for Today really is like, many of the songs on the album are like prayers or mantras, and Just for Today really is one of those. It is just it's a mantra, it's a prayer. It is something that we say in recovery. It's a phrase. There are a few phrases that people who are in recovery would know. One day at a time is one, just for today is another. They're, you know, quite similar. This too shall pass, all of these kinds of things that are phrases that help us in recovery to kind of navigate difficult times. And just for today is a reminder to me that this moment is all that I really have. One of the lyrics in Just for Today is no storm, no flowers, no mud, no lotus. The no mud, no lotus is actually a phrase from a book that I was reading by a Buddhist monk called Thich Nhat Hanh. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. Basically, no mud, no lotus speaks to the fact that without the dirt, you don't get the flower. And I thought that was such a beautiful way of looking at life. Not getting down on yourself about the dirt and the grit and the hard times, but realizing that that is what births the beauty. The pain gives birth to the flower. So, yeah. Music is the medicine is basically just, again, a mantra about music being a place of healing for me and for hopefully a lot of other people through this record. I think, you know, there's a lot of really cool little interesting things going on, and you know, I think I was the vessel for it to begin coming through, but like, you know, when I sent it off to Juanita for her to put drums on it, she ended up putting in this really beautiful drum piece that comes towards the end of the song. She goes into I think it's like a 6/8 kind of time in, and it's just some real beautiful stuff. And then Indra did some gorgeous backing vocals. I mean, she did backing vocals on all of these songs, and I gotta say, she's not just a backing vocalist, she really is a whole nother instrument. Ruin Me is a song about fellowship and community. It's about surrender. It was me getting to a point where I realized I can't do this on my own. I ruin me is kind of the refrain of this song. And in my active addiction, and especially also through my struggle with my mental health, I isolated a lot. So I did not really spend time around people. I still struggle to spend time around people, to be honest with you. But so Ruin Me is just about me realizing that I can't do this on my own, that I need a community, I need a fellowship, and also that I need a spiritual practice. I need something greater than me in my life. Serenity, courage, wisdom is just a mantra. The serenity prayer is something that a lot of us in recovery use on a regular basis. It is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It sounds quite simple. It really is quite a challenge on a day to actually bring yourself back to your breath and surrender and have that serenity. I would say I don't have it all the time, but I'm praying for it at all times. I've had to learn to let go a little bit, a lot. Sometimes I make things worse, so I had to learn to just let go. The Addict's Hymn is, well, pretty much what it says. It is a short hymn or prayer, and I wrote it, and then I wrote a slightly varied version of the part that I sang for Rhesa Garnes to sing, and she executed it really, really, really beautifully. And it really is just a prayer of thanksgiving and unity and oneness and love. It's your voice is a worship song, really. That wasn't my intention, but I've learned in recovery to have a higher power is what we refer to. Basically a power greater than ourselves. Something that they say that can restore us to sanity. And so your voice was really just my way of saying thank you to that energy, that power, for granting me grace and being patient with me and teaching me to be patient with myself and to give my own self grace as well. I think it's always been easier for me to extend grace and forgiveness and love and so on to other people, but to find it for myself has always been very difficult. So the last song that I'm putting on the album is going to be called Listen, and it is just a meditation. There's no words, so the only thing I have to say about that is listen. I think as someone who had lost hope for a long time in myself and in everything on a whole, success of this project to me would be that it brings hope to other people. I think we always want our music, as musicians and artists, we always want our music to touch as many people as it possibly can. So yeah, we want it to touch billions of people, but realistically, I hope it does that. I really do. But realistically, regardless, as long as it brings hope to a few people, I would be satisfied that it was worth the effort. And healing, I think, those are the two words that kind of stick with me the most for this project. Hope and healing, just for today.